Now, welcome to another edition of Battle of the Heroes and Villains, where this time we'll be taking a look at the results of the poll for Hondo Ohnaka, and then comparing them to all the other characters we've done thus far, before I then read and respond to some of your comments. But before we get to any and all of that, you can already head down and nominate and or vote for which character we do next. Just respond to my pinned comment below with a character name, or vote with a thumbs up if the one you'd like to see is already listed. Whatever comment gets the most votes in the next 24 hours or so will be the winner and the character we do next. Alright, and now on to the poll for Hondo, where we'll see that 44% of people gave him an A, 33% then thought he was a B tier character, 16% voted C, which left 3% to give him a D, and a final 4% to give him an F. And so when we do all the math here and consider A a score of 5 and F a score of 1, Hondo Ohnaka ends up with an average score of 4.1, which puts him into 18th place overall. Which is maybe a little surprising to see him quite so high and ahead of a character like Lando, and really not all that far behind the likes of Darth Maul, who did get voted on before Season 7 of Clone Wars, so he'd probably be a bit higher after that. And a little surprised or not with just how high he finished, I can't deny he is one of, if not the funniest characters in all of Star Wars, and there's just something about him that's likable, which I suppose is what we're here to discuss. And so then let's move on to your comments, but not before quickly saying thank you to everyone who votes, comments, and watches the videos, as well as to those who send in your artwork. I don't normally include art in these videos, that's usually the Let's Talk Some Star Wars videos, but since someone did specifically send some Hondo work in, I'll include that and save everything else for another video. Anyway, let's kick this off as we always do with the top rated comment, which came to us from Alex M, who said, "Insolence, we are pirates. We don't even know what that means. Gotta love Hondo." That then takes us right into this comment from Indoshan Studios, who said, "I love how most comments are just his quotes. He may be the most quotable person in all of Star Wars." And yes, a large percentage of the comments this week were Hondo quotes, which is not a complaint. In fact, I had forgotten just how many great one-liners he had until reading through all the comments, and I'll be sharing some of them later in the video. And just the fact that people have so many quotes that they remember and love to recite says, well, it says a lot about the character. It says how funny and memorable he truly is. But there is, of course, more to Hondo than just his humor, which brings us to this comment from Sean Hughes, who said, "An absolute scene stealer, he has a lot of great lines and jokes, but he is surprisingly a lot more complicated than some would think. He has times when he shows morality and honor. A very fleshed out character is very profitable." There was also this comment from Darth Malik, who said, "He's the funniest character in all of Star Wars, and none of that humor feels forced." Then there's also this one from Lucas Lino, who said, "Most say that he's chaotic neutral, but I'd argue he leans more towards chaotic good than even Hondo himself would ever admit." Also here we have this one from Jose Sanchez, who said, "I thought he was going to be a stereotypical bad guy pirate, but he's surprisingly fleshed out." And you know, the funny thing is, a lot of the times in these videos we talk about character arcs and growth and progression, about the changes they go through as the story goes on. But the last thing you'd ever want for a character like Hondo is to change. You'd never want him to be a full-on good guy or a full-on bad guy. And what makes him great, I think, is that he's neither, yet kind of both at the same time. That he's always the same old Hondo. Though I do agree, if you want to put it into D&D alignment terms, that he leans more chaotic good than the other way than chaotic evil. He's not going to go out of his way to hurt you or do harm if there's nothing in it for him, and he will help you to some degree as long as there's minimal danger to himself, and a chance to get something out of it for himself never hurts either. Basically, he's the epitome of selfish, but he's not cruel, or not intentionally so. He won't shoot you in the back for no reason, but he will shoot you in the back if he has to, or if he can gain something from it. But at the same time, he'll help you as long as he doesn't think it'll cost him, or that he'll personally have to risk too much. Though these glimpses of kindness might only be because he thinks he could use you or your help later on. You're never entirely sure with him. And like I said, you never want that to change about him. Strangely enough, you really don't want to see Hondo truly and genuinely helping just out of the goodness of his heart. And when he does seem to be acting that way, you're always waiting for the proverbial other shoe to drop. You're waiting to find out what's in it for him. And when it does happen, for some reason, you just don't get mad at him or you can't blame him for it. He's truly one of the most interesting characters I've seen anywhere ever, to be honest. But even though he is one of a kind, there are others like him, as this comment from Andrew Lee points out, and he said, "I see him as Loki of Star Wars, where he's really likable for being an anti-hero." Then we also have this one from Kevin Mendoza, who said, he's the space version of Captain Jack Sparrow, nuff said. Or this one from the Codeaster, who said, he can surely give Jack Sparrow a run for his money. Also here we have this comment from Elijah Najara, who said, he's the sort of guy you just can't hate no matter what he does thanks to his charisma, an A+ all the way. Then there's this one from Reese Peria, who said, literally Han's name mixed with Lando. And I agree, there's something about these anti-hero type characters like Loki, Jack Sparrow, and Hondo, which is mainly their incredible charisma, but also that desire for them to be good characters, even though you don't want them to be good, because I think it would just change them and ruin the characters. But anyway, there's just something about them that makes it where you can't hate them no matter what they do. And then, oddly enough, there's also times where you don't like the straight-up hero of a story no matter what they do, or sometimes because of what they do, but let's not get into all that. Oh, and hopefully I'm not the only one who's never realized that Hondo really is just a combination of Han and Lando's names. Alright, and moving on now, we have this comment from The Warped Child, who said, Hondo has so many great comedic lines that aren't forced. His relationship with Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka is hilarious and surprisingly deep. I love the story arc with the younglings. Hondo is actually George Lucas's favorite character from Clone Wars, and come on, he's voiced by Jim Cummings, aka Winnie the Pooh. It's an A for me. I absolutely love Hondo. My mood is based on profit, and today, I'm in the mood for crystals. Okay, and speaking of Jim Cummings, the voice of Hondo, along with many, many other characters, I'm going to do something a bit different here. I had someone send me in a video of them asking a question of Jim Cummings at a convention, so I thought it would be cool to see the man behind the voice weigh in a bit on his character, and big thanks to North Winter Crossplay for sending it in. You should check him out on Instagram. I'll include a link to his page in the description below. And anyway, here it is.
You look great, man. Very cool.
So we kind of already touched on it with Hondo Ohnaka at Galaxy's Edge. I was going to ask you, how was working with Dave Filoni, especially on both Rebels and Clone Wars for so many years?
God, I hate that bastard. He's a great guy. He was really, really, really great. And the way, the reason he got 3 reallys, was because I tend to ad-lib a lot, and I can always tell if it's a good director by how much of it he keeps. I'm only serious. But it was just a lot of fun, and I think sometimes, you know, when they let you ad-lib and go a little crazy, you know, it kind of adds a little flavor, and it keeps everybody on their toes because they have to react to that weirdness. And he just let me go nuts with Hondo. I mean, him and like Rey, Princess and Frog, and Darkwing to an extent. You know, I just barely would. I almost didn't say any lines as written. You know, and like the one time Ahsoka and I were having a battle, and she says, "Hondo, I really don't want to hurt you." And my line was, "Well, I don't want to hurt you either, but I have to do what I have to do." And instead I said, "I know that is so sweet of you. I'm counting on it." And they said, "Okay, we're keeping that." That was, you know, so you know, it just adds a little zing to it. And he's great. He is just awesome. And yeah, I'll tell him you asked. Thank you. You got it. Thank you. All right.
Alright, and now on to a few final comments before wrapping this up, starting with this one from Sammy Gerasi, who said, "Man, I feel like I vote too many A's, but Hondo is the perfect embodiment of the archetype of the fool. He's greedy and stupid, but also harmless enough for Ezra to trust. In addition, he gets all the best lines in the Clone Wars series and Rebels. Half these comments are probably going to be quotes of things he said because the writers treat him right." Next then we have this comment from TNN Taro News Network, who said, "My mother once told me, son, if one hostage is good, 2 is better, and 3, well, that's just good business. Such a fun character, how can you not like him?" Then there's this comment from William Brown, which is another Hondo quote, and this one I can certainly relate to. This time it is, "I may not be as young as I once was, but I'm older." We also have this one from Obi-Wan Kenobi, who said, "I think I'm his only friend, but even I'm not too sure about that." Also, we have this one from Nathaniel Lindsay, who said, "But you know what I always say, speak softly and drive a big tank. That quote alone makes me give him an A." Our next one here then comes to us from My Crow is on Fire, Give Water, who says, "Tell the Jedi what he wants to know, Boba. It's the honorable thing to do. It's what your father would have wanted. A tier quote alone." Or then this comment from Marcy Segfa, who said, "I'm so proud, but so betrayed. Low A for me." And finally, hear this comment from Imran Sadovic, who said, "A roguish yet lovable character that really feels like he belongs in Star Wars with the likes of Lando and Han Solo." And I couldn't agree more. Star Wars has a very long history of likable rogue or scoundrel characters, and Hondo is certainly among the best of them. Unlike the others, though, who maybe start out a bit sketchy and eventually sort of become heroes, Hondo never ever changes. And honestly, I don't think anyone ever wants him to, not to mention there'd be no profit in it. Well, that's all I've got for you this time. Now it's your turn to tell me what you think of Hondo, or what I or anyone else had to say about him in this video, or you can always nominate or vote for which character we do next. Either way, leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.